Hi guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video we're going to have some Division 20 ranked online gameplay in the bantamweight division using current champion Aljamain Sterling coming up against the now interim champion Petr Yan. We know how good Yan is on the game, and as you can see my opponent from the banner underneath is a very skilled player, been in Division 20 across a numerous amount of seasons, and we have played this opponent a fair few times. As you can see the record there, 9 fights, he's won 5, I've won 4. So coming into this, I'm really looking to pull one back. But Petr Yan, we know, is a very, very dangerous opponent on this game. Probably the best fighter, best feeling fighter in the game anyway. Him and Robert Whittaker in a lane of their own. They're just so good. You can do whatever you want with those guys. So obviously using Aljamain Sterling, my ground games where the advantage is going to be. However, just purely based off the fact that I know this opponent quite well, we fought a numerous amount of times. He's got phenomenal takedown defense, and just because of how good Yan is, it will slightly deteriorate me away from wanting to initiate in the grappling exchanges. So throughout this fight, you're really going to see me have a stand-up battle against this Petr Yan here. And of course that might sound crazy just because of how good Yan's boxing, Yan's kickboxing is, but I thought that the path to success would be to outlast my opponent in terms of stamina. So I'm going to look to manage my stamina very well, try to mitigate the damage that I take. I don't want my head health to be too low going into the 4th and 5th, just because of how powerful Yan is. Mixing the leg kicks where possible, but you'll see my opponent does a good job of neutralising that and unloading leg kicks of his own. Stay in and out of the pocket. And the main thing is that as the rounds go on, my opponent's stamina is going to get lower and lower. And whilst throwing these big punch combinations, you will see that my opponent does unload into 4 or 5 punch combinations. Hopefully catch him with something that can put him down, and then opt to get on top and control the fight from there, or even get a finish of our own. But for me, the keys to winning this fight is, of course, stamina management, head movement, and just really trying to mitigate the damage we're going to take, because we are going to take damage. If you're standing up with Petr Yan, it's just a given that you will get hurt. It's just about how you survive and how you hurt your opponent yourself. So this round 1 here, fairly even first round. We're just feeling each other out. I'd say that my opponent's having the better of the exchanges, but we're still in the fight. And the thing is, when you're fighting a pressure boxer, the main thing you want to do is you want to get that respect straight away. You want to get your opponent knowing that he can't just pressure you the whole fight and has to worry about your offense as well. And as you can see, I'm trying to control the center of the octagon where possible. I don't just want to be pressured the whole fight, because once I'm pressured, once I'm on the back foot, it's going to be harder and harder to strike. I'm really trying to look to go to the body as well and just take away my opponent's stamina as quick as possible. And he's done a very good job of hurting my legs already, and it's only round 1 and my leg health is not in a good position at all. And as you can see, he attacks the leg there again, and he's just doing a good job of really whittling away on my leg. And this is being recorded just after the Petr Yan and Corey Sandhagen fight, and that fight was phenomenal. Yan is just a different wave to all these other bantamweights right now, and I think that he will beat Aljamain Sterling quite convincingly when they fight next time around. But you know, with MMA, you never know what's going to happen, but that's just my prediction. I think Yan's going to absolutely dominate him, as he did in the first. And the start of the second round here, you can see how much more aggressive my opponent is. And he's really starting to work the body also. And what this told me was either, one, he just wanted to mix up the combinations and just start to lower my stamina. Or 2, that his stamina wasn't in a good position and he needed to get my stamina low, just to be on a level playing field, because right now my stamina is in a very good position for round 2, especially considering we've just been striking the whole time. Now what my opponent's noticed here, and that I can see now watching the gameplay back, is that when I sway, my opponent's then going straight to the leg, because when you're moving your body you can't block your legs, and my opponent's picking up on that little habit, and that's how he's whittling away at my legs here. He's also checking the leg kicks extremely well, and that's just making it harder and harder for me, because I'm really looking to, I want to take out that lead leg as quick as possible, just so Yan's power really drops off, and it'll be an easy way to get leg health events And I was cautious of the fact that because my opponent kept denying them, obviously that deteriorates my game plan. I can't really throw them as much, but also it means that my opponent's blocking low, which means that my opponent, if I shoot for a takedown, will already be in a good enough position to deny those. So this is all stuff that was playing throughout my mind, and the only weakness I can really see from my opponent right now is that when my opponent unloads into these 4-5 punch combinations, obviously his vulnerability is going to be high. So if I hit my opponent with a big strike, it should be enough to put him down. And also that my opponent seems to be getting hit by this left hook a lot. I've noticed there's an opening for the left hook every now and then. And so this is stuff that I'm trying to install, keep in the back of my mind, so that when we do go into the 3rd, 4th and 5th, it's something that I can look to try capitalise on. But my opponent's been extremely patient, going in and out of the pocket very, very well. And this is just what happens when you face someone that's, extremely good. You've just got to give them credit where it's due, because these are the type of fights I want. There was nothing cheesy about the fight. My opponent was just using clean kickboxing and boxing. Wasn't trying to use anything to exploit the game. Just fighting a great fight. And as you can see, he got the leg health event there. And I've switched stance temporarily, but it's not something that I'm looking to maintain going into the 3rd, 4th and 5th. I'm just going to have to revert back to Sterling's normal stance, which is orthodox. And even though my leg health's low, I've just got to start blocking low. And as you can see, I'm pressuring my opponent where possible, but I'm being cautious of Jan's power. You've got to respect the power, because if you don't, you are going to get knocked out. And right now, what a lot of people would be doing is they'd be looking to initiate the grappling. As you can see, respect there between me and my opponent. Been a very good fight so far. And I wouldn't blame people for trying to initiate the grappling, because on the feet right now it's extremely one-sided. Although I'm having my moments, my opponent is fighting the better fight, and I'm sort of fighting the fight that my opponent wants exactly. My opponent wants this fight to be exactly like this. He wants it to be on the feet, and he wants to dominate. He wants to take out my leg. He wants to hit me with big flurries of strikes. And ideally I want the fight to be on the ground. But where my stamina is at the moment, and I know where, in my head I know where my opponent's stamina's at, it's not in this good of a position. And I know that if I keep getting my opponent to throw, there will be a time where I could catch him. And when I do catch him, it should drop him. And if I start looking for these takedowns constantly, and my opponent hits me something, obviously he could shut out my lights because my head health isn't in the best position. And also my opponent's got great takedown defense. And I feel like I need to do more than just lay on top of my opponent. I really need to look for the submission threat. So rather than taking my opponent down now when I know he's got enough stamina to just hold me in that position, I'm going to look to take my opponent down in maybe the 4th or 5th when I know that my opponent's stamina is not in a great position at all. And then potentially look for that submission or ground and pound finish. But right now, I feel like on the feet, although my opponent is having the better of the strikes, I feel like there will be an opportunity. It will present itself for me to have my moments here and potentially get a knockout. But before we, get into how the fight ends and stuff, because we've still got a round or two to go, I just think this is probably the craziest finish I've ever had in a fight. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this across UFC 4, 3 or 2. It's just something that absolutely blew my mind. And as you can see, we're starting to break through that block now. My opponent, you can see he's a bit more tired, not throwing as many combinations as he was before. And when he does unload those 4-5 punch combos, you can really see in the character's like player model that the stamina just isn't there for it right now. And that left hook, as you can see, it slipped in well there, and it slips in after I throw the jab, and then I pause. My opponent doesn't think I'm following through with another strike, and then I go for it. And as you can see, drop my opponent there. We get too aggressive, and my opponent ends up hitting me with a hook, and then a beautiful roundhouse to the body, which really, really hurt. And I don't know how that didn't drop me, but unfortunately didn't. So as you can see, the fight was quite quiet for the first maybe 2-3 minutes of the 3rd round here, and then it's really picked up towards the end right now. Both of us really going for it. But I've made the read now that when I throw the jab, if I give it a little pause, my opponent goes to throw, or at least drops his hands, and then I can sneak in that hook. And I know my opponent's head health isn't in the greatest position, so it shouldn't take too much to get another knockdown, and that was an extremely entertaining round, especially towards the end there. As you can see, that's the stats. I think we both had the knockdown each that round. Obviously, my opponent probably would edge it just because of the damage he's done elsewhere. But coming into this fourth, I know my stamina, like I said, is at an advantage. And if I need to grapple, I will look to grapple. My opponent is just now starting to tee off because my head health is not in a great position. But I'm looking to weather the storm. And as you can see, I'm still in the stance where my leg is just absolutely finished. And that's just because I'm keeping in mind really to check these leg kicks. And I'm trying to bait him into throwing them just to whittle down his leg health also. And I just feel more comfortable fighting out of this stance with Aljo. So I'm not really looking to switch. And my opponent's just doing a great job here. I'm going to the head and the body, but my head movement there gets me away from those strikes as I was rocked. And I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for my opponent to miss something. I'm going to try to catch him with something big. And like I said, I'm really hoping it's enough to put my opponent down at least. Then I can get on top and look to initiate the grappling. Because as the fight stands right now, I'm losing probably every round. And I'll need a finish in the fifth. So as the fight starts to go on in this round, I'm probably going to look to initiate the grappling and just see where my opponent's at. I would have done it earlier if I didn't know the opponent I was playing, but I know my opponent's play style really well, and I know that his stamina's really starting to fade here. As you can see, we're pressuring my opponent well, and then bang, slip, the uppercut drops me there, and that was just beautiful, beautiful combination. Really unloading here. And this is good for me here because I know my opponent has no stamina. So we get up now. And as you can see, I'm not really trying to give him too much rest. I just want to be in the pocket so he fears that I'm going to strike. So that way he thinks about, oh, okay, he's going to strike, so I need to throw. And I was trying to get him to just, I was trying to zap that stamina. And when he threw that roundhouse, as you can see, the hook was so close to landing. And as I've said throughout the whole fight, the hook is always there. So I'm just waiting. We check the leg kick there. My opponent's backing away towards the fence. And like I said, I'm just staying in the pocket so my opponent, feels threatened. Feels that I'm going to throw something. And I'm waiting to catch my opponent because when he throws, he's vulnerable. And the hook is there. And now we're working in the leg kicks just to get my opponent thinking about something else. And right now I have nothing to lose, so I'm just going to pressure, pressure, pressure. I'm mixing in the leg kicks, which I wasn't before. I know the fight's probably going to go to decision. I'm going to lose unless I have a big fifth round. So there's nothing wrong with me just pressing the action here. Get the hook, go for the uppercut, get the knockdown. Trying to get the finish desperately here. Back away. And as you see, raining down the punches. And a double knockdown. But a KO for me. And at the time, this was on stream. And I had no idea who got the finish there. And when you watch the replay, this is the razor thin margins that happens in MMA. We both go for the exact same combination, but just because I had the knockdown just before, and as you can see, I land first. I think I just about land first, and I think because I had the stamina advantage, also we managed to get the knockout victory. And this is in a fight where, it was close, but my opponent definitely won every round. Mad respect to my opponent because he's a great fighter. I tried to say respect at the end, but he was probably just annoyed. Let me know if you've ever seen anything like this in the comments. Please like, comment and subscribe if you are new. And I'll see you next time. Thank you.